flow states, which can be thought of as states of deep meditative absorption, which are associated with focus, creativity, engagement, meaning, purpose, happiness, and fulfillment, are triggered when we are participating in an action for its own sake, when the action has become an end unto itself. The second verse of the Tao contains the seeds of the psychology of flow. So we will begin this episode by taking a quick look at this verse, and then we will unpack it and see step by step exactly how it leads us to the revolutionary concept of flow. When people see things as beautiful, ugliness is created. When people see things as good, evil is created. Being and non-being produce each other. Difficult and easy complement each other. Long and short define each other. High and low oppose each other. Before and after follow each other. Therefore, the master can act without doing anything and teach without saying a word. Things come her way and she does not stop them. Things leave and she lets them go. She has without possessing and acts without any expectations. When her work is done, she takes no credit. That is why it will last forever. When we judge something, say as being beautiful, we are imposing a standard upon reality, and every standard exists on a continuum, with an opposite on either end of the continuum. Laozi is telling us that these supposed opposites arise together. Not only is it that beauty and ugliness, or good and evil, fit together and give meaning to or define one another, as in, good can only be defined in opposition to what is evil, and beauty is only special and only has meaning or significance if there also exists non-beauty to contrast it with. But moreover, when we cling too much to standards of beauty, at the same time we must also push back against ugliness. Those who live by the sword die by the sword, and no matter how beautiful we are, we will begin to hold ourselves to ever higher standards, and we will surely start to notice the tiniest little imperfections and flaws in both ourselves and in others. I believe this is what Jesus meant when he said in Matthew chapter 7 verse 2, that by what measure you judge, you shall also be judged. If we cling too much to the idea of being good, or progressive, or Christian, or liberal, or conservative, however we define the good, then we will define ourselves in opposition to our opposites. Who are we? We are not them. To cling to the view of oneself as good is to cast judgment on the world and on others. We all do this. Many times we must cast judgment, but it is good to be aware of what is going on. If we push too much for our version of the good, then we often produce the opposite reaction, whereby those who we define ourselves in opposition to push back just as hard. This is how civil wars and revolutions leading to counter-revolutions work. Laozi begins the third paragraph of the second verse by saying, "Therefore, the master can act without doing anything." The word therefore means, and so it follows. So why does it follow? Why is it that because long and short define each other, that the master is somehow able to paradoxically act without doing anything? Well, it follows because our reality is non-dual, as Lao Tzu tries to make us realize in the first couple of paragraphs. Everything fits together, and nothing is separate or apart from this grand fitting together. This is the mysterious unity which underlies even that which seems to be opposite, but which at a deeper level, such opposites necessarily imply one another. The Master herself is an expression of this great unity, this Tao. The Master acts without doing anything because something else, the great Tao, is what is doing the doing. It is what is performing the action, and the Master is merely being, letting this greater power flow through her to move and to animate her very existence. There's a fantastic quote from the legendary Sufi mystic named Rumi that goes something like this: "You are not a drop of water in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop of water." The drop of water does not move independently through the ocean, it moves with the ocean. Or rather, the ocean moves the drop of water. At first glance, this might appear to present us with a deterministic view of free will, in that the ocean, or the universe, or life, or whatever you want to call it, controls our every move. But if we drop the illusory duality of our, and we merge with the ocean, and simply be the ocean, then you will realize that the greater you is the ocean itself which is doing you, and everything else. And so you will regain your sense of dignity, and awe, and mystery. The part where things come and go without phasing the Master, and she is not possessive of her experience, reminds me of a poem by some Zen master, which I'll paraphrase. "Clouds come and clouds go by, but they do not stain the sky." The Master has attained the state where she has become an empty vessel whose space contains everything, yet is not stained nor possessive over what it contains. The water does not have any expectations when a pebble is thrown its way. As soon as the pebble strikes the surface of the water, concentric waves begin radiating outwards, and it happens instantly. This is like the mind of the Master. When her work is done, she takes no credit. That is why it will last forever. So to follow the eternal Tao means we do not allow our ego to take credit for what we do, because we know that there is no separate self which is performing the actions. There is merely action. There is merely the Tao. If your separate egoic sense of self is not the source of your own actions, then how does it make any sense to take credit for these actions? The wave does not take credit for being a tall wave. It simply waves as a function of the whole ocean at that spot and time. This reminds me of the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, which instructs us to perform actions for their own sake, and not to seek after the results of our actions, but to make every effort of ours a gift or a sacrifice unto God. Modern research in positive psychology supports this. Flow states, which can be thought of as states of deep meditative absorption, which are associated with focus, creativity, engagement, meaning, purpose, happiness, and fulfillment, are triggered when we are participating in an action for its own sake, when the action has become an end unto itself. The action is the result because we enjoy engaging in it for its own sake. In flow, you become so engaged in the activity that you lose all your sense of time, and appetite and tiredness and separation? Have you ever become so immersed in playing a video game or a conversation or hiking or writing something or reading a book that many hours passed by and you didn't even realize it? It felt like an instant? Please share your stories in the comments section. I read them all. When a musician is in a state of flow, it feels like the music is playing itself. When a writer is in a state of flow, it feels like the words type themselves. When an Olympic gymnast is in a state of flow, it feels like the body contorts itself. We lose the sense of a separate self and merge into the vastness of life. The Tao is in part a manual on how to enter flow states, because it teaches us how to act without doing anything. When the music plays itself and the words type themselves, we are flowing with the great Tao. There is a deep connection between flow and the Tao.